Han S. Park is a former US-North Korea mediator, also professor of international affairs at the University of Georgia. He joins us from Augusta. Professor Park, thank you for joining us. Until now, how effective has Joe Biden been in his desire to forge this Asian alliance against China?
Well, the fact that he visited South Korea before Japan it makes a difference. That is, the South Koreans are very pro-America, pro-Joe Biden, and Biden has some itinerary, some objectives that he would like to achieve in the Korean trip, and that is that somehow make South Korea involved more heavily in assisting Ukraine situation. But South Korean president just elected by a very narrow margin is not going to be able to do it with the support of his people. The people are very much against South Korea extending military assistance or economic assistance with North Korea. But Biden successfully scheduled his itinerary to include economic giants there, there's Samsung and Hyundai. These two company leaderships have agreed to sit down with President Biden in a couple of days before he left Korea. So things are very murky right now. We don't know if South Korea is going to support and honor Biden's demand. I'm pretty sure he will have demand in the form of getting South Korean help for Ukraine policies.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Samsung angle, because I was wondering why the President of the United States, one of the first things he would do would be go to a Samsung factory. Okay, that makes sense now. How worried do you think the White House, Biden, his entire administration is about possibly China becoming ever closer to Russia? Because we saw just before the Winter Olympics in February, didn't we? Vladimir Putin in Beijing, and Xi Jinping says there's almost no limit to how far our friendship can go. If those two countries decide to work together, would they be a successful counterweight to US hegemony? Would there be anything that Washington could do to counter that kind of alliance between Moscow and Beijing?
I think Moscow and Beijing collaboration would be very effective, would give the United States pressure and obstacle toward American policies. In fact, American policies are not very clearly defined. The South Korean policy or Ukraine policy, not clearly the objectives and the process not clearly defined. I think China and Moscow will be able to effectively deter American involvement in Ukraine and European affairs there. And I don't think NATO countries are fully supportive of the United States, uniformly supportive of the United States. So military alliance of NATO is not going to be like it was during the early years. So it will be different. America will be isolated not only from the rest of the world, but from NATO main countries as well. So he would like to gain some supportive measures from Japan and South Korea on his trip, but quite questionable, the effectiveness of which will be very uncertain.
Well, he's got 5 days to get a result, doesn't he, Professor? Thank you so much for your time, Han S. Park. Really appreciate it.